everyone, I'm Sally Engelhardt, Grand Prix Dressage Rider. Today's tip is all about the halt. When you're making a halt, you want to set this thing up well. The halt can be done really well, and it can also be done really, really poorly. And the success of the halt really depends on how you've set it up. Make sure that you've got your connection with the horse. The connection will harness the power and make it useful for you. Good contact, good seat. You want to make sure that your balance is there and that the horse's balance is there. Centre of view on the centre of the horse. Have your centre of gravity with the centre of the gravity of the horse. You want to have the balance. Once you've got that sorted out, that will sort out any straightness issues in the horse. You want to make sure that his hind legs are following his forelegs. When you're coming into the halt, you'll come into the halt either from the walk, the trot, or the canter. And of course, the faster the gait, the more straightness you'll need, the more balance of power you will need. You want to make sure that your rhythm is even, really, really, really even. Make sure the tempo again is the same. No point in speed. If you speed up before you halt, of course, that's a recipe for disaster. And you don't want to slow down too much before the halt. Instead of thinking about slowing down, think about shortening the last few steps. So say you're coming into the halt from the trot. So you're trotting along, and then you want to think short, 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 halt. If you're just starting out at halting from the trot, make it a little bit more progressive. But yeah, so generally, if you're coming, say you're practicing a test, you're coming down the centre line, in your trot, you want to have 3 short steps, and then the next one is your halt. And as you're taking those, as you're making it short, 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 halt, imagine the wither is coming up. So up, 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 halt. And this is the feeling of the horse. Careful not to move your hands upwards. You want to instead use your posture, really with your front body, make it really tall. And of course, you're wanting the wither to come a little lighter, to come up. You think of the steps coming shorter. You can also start immobilising your torso with your core, immobilising the pelvis and immobilising the spine. You want to, that also gives you a good timing for the halt. So use that 1, 2, 3 halt. So that's 4 beats. So you've asked, then the horse should give it to you. And the horse, because of the way the feet hit the ground, he will put 2, if he's coming from a trot, he'll put 2 feet down, and then there might be 1 more half step. Coming from the walk, because it's a 4 beat, he will start organising his feet, and it might take 3 or 4 beats to get his feet organised. So you've made your halt, you've thought about your posture, you want to make sure that lightness is there in the wither, and corresponding with that lightness, the quarters will also come under a little bit. So the horse, you get that sense that the horse is just stepping under himself, or if you've done it really well, you'll get that sense that the horse is sitting. And then he will halt, he'll be nice and collected, you have that good connection, and you'll be able to then go off and do whatever, trot off or canter off or whatever you want to do. When you're leaving the halt, it's kind of the reverse. Sort of a bit reverse, but you want the same idea. So you want him to be light out of the halt. So come up out of the halt, up and forward in that first step out of the halt. It would be a good idea you're not aiming for the first step to be small. You want the first step to be the same length as the others. So aim for that. When you're coming up, out of the halt, you want the wither to be light, but you have to stay soft in your back and your torso. You have to make sure that your centre of gravity is a little bit in front. Stay soft so that your back can swing, and that swing will invite the horse's back up and invite that first hind leg step to be nice and long. The next thing to think about, so you've come into your halt, you've made your halt, or when you're making your halt, give it a good few seconds. Like, don't halt for anything less than 3 seconds. 4 seconds is ideal, 5 is fine. But yeah, somewhere between 3 and 5. That kind of comes in with the beats that the horse is able to listen to your aid. So anything less than 3 is too much of an expectation. Unless you're an FEI rider, keep it, at the minimum 3 beats to let the horse listen to your aid. With the halt in your training session, don't do too many. It's a really easy way to just mess with your horse's head. So, in any training session, you might do half a dozen, and that's it. So make sure that each one gets better, and if you don't think they're getting better, definitely abandon it and come back to it another day. The other thing, don't do them in the same place, because horses, they learn fast, and if they know that they're going to stop in that particular place every time, then they're going to be thinking, I stop there. So scatter your halts around the arena. Things to avoid. The first one is the dive. The horse will come especially from the trot, come into the halt and then dive his head down onto quite low to the ground. That's the horse resisting using his hind end. And so to avoid that, you want to make sure you give him a good half halt. And if the dive is still there, the half halt might have to get pretty intense. So the use of the half halt will eliminate the dive. The other thing, you've come to your halt, don't fiddle with it. You get one chance to fiddle. So you've come to the halt, you're not satisfied, you might need a little bit of leg, you might need a little half halt in one hand. Only do it once. And then if it's still no good, you have to go away and come back and do it again. If you fiddle in the halt, that only compounds itself, and the horse will think, okay, we halt and then we fiddle, and he'll be restless, and you don't want that. Again, you're always aiming for harmony. You want it to be nice and light and harmonious and easy. It has to look easy from the outside. That's what you're aiming for. So if you use all of these ideas, that's what you'll get. You'll get a nice, smooth, well-balanced halt that's light, and then a really good exit out of the halt. So if you've got any comments, if you've got any questions on what I've said or suggestions for future today's tips, don't forget to put them in the comments below, and we'll pick one to talk about next time. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you then.